Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We usually go live on the Miguel and Holly and the Hits 961 Facebook page and the Miguel and Holly YouTube channel around 10:30. We're a little early today, but you can always watch it live or go back after the fact. Give us a 5-star rating if you listen on the iHeartRadio podcast, on the our Apple podcast, or wherever you listen. Give us a 5-star rating. We'd greatly appreciate it. And check out some of our other podcasts as well, like Miguel and Holly Full Show, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions, Blown Off, all that good stuff. So Kelvin left right after the show was over because he's not feeling well.
Poor Kelvin. He's still sick. He's sick Friday. He's sick over the weekend.
Just not doing well.
No.
So
I mean, it's not like it's a cold.
Right.
Like it's not horrific, but it is because that sucks.
Yeah, when you're not feeling
feeling
well.
good.
So, but Holly, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. We went and saw Migration on Friday night, which I did not have high hopes for, but it was actually super sweet and super funny and super cute. And I was a little worried because I saw the previews and I thought to myself, this seems kind of like lame and annoying. And I don't mean offense at Awkwafina, but usually when Awkwafina voices cartoon characters, they're like kind of annoying cartoon characters.
Ooh.
I don't know how to say it better than that.
I don't know who Awkwafina is. Is this like a
she's an actress.
Let me look her up real quick.
Yeah, you could look her up because I don't know her full bio, but she voiced Scuttle, I think, in the new Little Mermaid. And I think there's another, but I know for sure Scuttle, and I was just like,
oh, okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Okay, right. And to me, Scuttle was kind of annoying and like maybe the worst part of the Little Mermaid. I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. Again, it's nothing personal about her.
Right.
I just don't like her sidekicks that she plays. And so she was in the preview as like this little pigeon, and I was like, here we go. But
like, here we go.
But it had its place, and it was not like the whole movie, because sometimes like an annoying sidekick has a great place in a film.
Right.
It's when filmmakers put the annoying sidekick in the whole film and you're like, please, God.
You're like, no. Because I feel like it's harder to judge that when it's a film as opposed to a TV show. Because a lot of times, like Family Matters back in the day where they had Steve Urkel,
right?
Like he wasn't the focal point in the first season. He was just a side character who then became a breakout star. And so then, like, I remember back in the day, like, no one referred to it as Family Matters. It was like the Urkel show. That's where we could see Urkel. And so, like, that was one that was completely unintended. And they were like, all right, well, let's have all these storylines about him when he was supposed to be just like the funny neighbor that popped in every now and then.
Yes. And there is, my fiance and I have talked about this actually. There's movies where you have like a good annoying sidekick that only pops up every now and then for like comedic relief and then like backs away.
Right.
And I almost wish I could call him because I can't remember the movie that is a good movie, but there's such an annoying sidekick in the whole thing. You're just like, I don't know if I can watch this.
You're like, I can't.
Anyway, just start noticing. There's sometimes the sidekick is like, please stop. But this one, she had, it was a great like flavor because it's not the whole movie. It's in a very specific part of the movie. And I was like, okay, I even enjoyed that. So overall, I mean, I teared up at the end of it. So that was like the highlight of the weekend is I was expecting it to be not great. And then it really blew my expectations out of the water. And I was like, good for you.
Can we also real quick about like characters? Because this came up again on something I watched this weekend where, and I'm saying this with a, you know me. You know me. Because when I say this, you're going to be
it's going to be offensive.
Right. You're going to be like, Miguel, I can't believe you would say that.
But we know you.
You know me that
we know your heart.
Right. I am a feminist and I will fight for women and for them to have an equal voice and to, have equal pay.
Oh, I know where you're going. I
can't stand the way that they write teenage girls in television shows or films.
Movies, yeah.
And it's especially when there's some sort of like a post-apocalyptic show or a zombie show where like everyone's trying to escape or do something, and then you always have that one annoying girl they write in that's like, ugh, I don't want to do this, I'm gonna go out my own, I don't care, and then someone dies or gets eaten
because of her stupidity.
And I'm like, why do they write the teenage girls like that all the time?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, to do it sometimes, but I forgot what show you and I, because this is something I've said, like, behind the scenes for years. And there was some show you and I watched when we lived together years ago where I was like. It was
Revolution.
Yes. Oh, my God. And, like, that's when I first realized it. And now every time there is a teenage girl in a post-apocalyptic film, I'm always like, all right, watch her fuck up some shit as soon as it happens. And every time they have her go down that path where she messes something up, and then everyone has to be like, well, that's just how teenage girls are.
It's interesting. It's an interesting topic because on first blush, you're like, yes, why are teenage girls so damn annoying? But then you're like, wait a minute, who's actually writing them that way? Because if you actually step back, well, first of all, they are annoying. Like that girl in Revolution, like would just be like, I know that I have all these people on my council that like are telling me the right thing to do, but I don't want to do any of that. We're just gonna do it my way, and then inevitably people die or whatever. And it's like that. It's a theme. Who's writing it though? Is it men that assume that that's what teen girls are like? Teen girls tend to get shit on so much. And I was actually, it's right in line with, I think some current discourse about Taylor Swift and the Stanley water bottles and things like this, where it's like teen girls are ridiculed for what they love and like just bullied into shutting up about it, which is exactly how a patriarchal society wants them. So whether it's like them being excited about Taylor Swift and everybody being like, Taylor Swift is insufferable now. Right. Is she? Or did the media do this to us? The media, of course, builds women up, tears them down, and it's the cycle. And then I was thinking about the Stanley water bottles because I saw this on some social media over the weekend where it's like, can women just like a thing? No, it's annoying. And I caught myself fucking doing it because I was like, God, these Stanley water bottles. But mainly it's for me, it's like, I don't want to spend the money on that. So that's what my thing was. I'm like, can we as parents like agree to maybe not all just run out and get our kids that? But some parents just want to do it. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I ended up buying my white Stanley, but not the big one. Cause I'm like, I cannot pay $45 for a water bottle that probably weighs what she does. And when it's filled with ice and water, she cannot hold it. Like, but all the kids at her school have them. So
she'll grow into it. She's a growing lady when she's 10.
She's slow growing.
See, it'll help her build a muscle. She can use it as barbells, workout things. She can lift it up.
Yeah, well, else you gonna need to because probably heavy as hell. But anyway, but things like this where it's like Starbucks or pumpkin spice lattes or whatever. It's like things that women like, things especially teen girls like, are annoying and silly and stupid. But we're totally cool with men and boys like putting on shirts that other men wear to play a game, and that's not silly. That's passionate.
Yeah, there was a podcast I listened to about that recently where they sort of put that out. Like, why is fangirling such a bad term? Like, think about any time you see someone meeting a celebrity, or you and the Miguel and Holly fam. When I've met you all in public, and you're like, oh my God, I don't mean to be a fangirl, and I'm like, be a fangirl. Like, why is that such a negative term? But like you said, Holly, when guys meet, their favorite sports people and they freak out, they're not like, oh my God, I don't mean to be a fanboy. They're just like, I respect you. Like, they don't apologize.
A fanboy doesn't even exist.
No, they don't even say. So like all those Star Wars people and the sports people, like they don't say anything. They just get to have that passion, and no one makes fun of them for it.
No, the stadiums, last time I checked, like Bank of America Stadium was filled yesterday with fans, girls and boys, who are literally there expressing their insane passion over a game where grown men hit each other in the head.
Which, by the way, that was an awkward game because it was the Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they were here in Charlotte, and I live right down the street.
I know.
And so I was like, ooh. And then I got on Insta because I had tickets to go.
You should have gone.
It was too cold. I was like, I am not about to sit outside for 2 hours in the cold. And so I
would have been closer to 4, probably. At least a good 3 hours.
There ain't no fucking way I would sit outside. And it was like in the 40s yesterday. Absolutely not. So I gave my tickets away yesterday.
Okay.
But so like in a perfect example of that is let me play this. This is a clip that we played on the show this morning. This is what's his name that hosted the Golden Globe?
Joe Coy, comedian.
Joe Coy.
Joe Coy.
Joe Coy.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was the host for the Golden Globes and made a kind of awkward joke about Taylor Swift. Listen.
Welcome back. And as you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift. I swear. There's just more to go to here. Sorry about that.
So then the camera pans to Taylor Swift. And she's looking like sipping her champagne, giving him sort of like
an icy side eye.
Right. A radio station in Canada shared the clip, and I went through the comments this morning before the show, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Taylor, take a joke. Watch, this is gonna be a song in 2 months." And I'm like, if that were Brad Pitt doing it, and he was like, oh, but the camera's on Brad Pitt because everyone that loves him, they'd all laugh and be like, haha, look at Brad Pitt and his great sense of humor. Why can't people just let women exist in their space and not always have to be like, well, there's a guy making fun of her, so you know she's mad and she's going to be crazy. And I'm like, no, she's not.
She
was in on the joke.
I fully believe she was in on the joke, and it was funny.
Right.
Not the joke. The joke wasn't really funny, but her reaction to the joke in a joking manner was funny.
Right, because that's exactly what I would have done. I was like, well, it's not a great joke, but I love being self-deprecating. Right. So I'm going to do like bitch,
I'm going to do like an eye roll. Like, yes.
Right. But I'm like, why
what's she supposed to do? Be like, none of his other jokes landed either. From what I hear, he bombed totally.
That's why I was like, I just feel like if you're a celebrity, and I don't know why I've been more sensitive to this as I've gotten older, but I'm like, I would not read any comments.
You
like nothing, because
I would
people
be in
are just
hole.
The worst.
Yes.
When it comes to stuff, and it
especially
just
nowadays.
Yes. And I'm just like, just let this woman live. Like, she didn't choose to have the camera on her all the time, or maybe she did, but like, is it affecting your life?
I think people
can you not pay rent because Taylor Swift is on the camera?
What do you think it is? Do you think people are just trying to share what they think is like a common bonding experience by making fun of somebody that everyone's making fun of?
I think people just like to hate. I just think that like people love to be snarky. Like people don't like it when it's directed at them.
No.
But everyone likes to hop on the snarky bandwagon. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit right. Like
I used to be the snarkiest of the snark.
Literally, if you went back in my Twitter and looked at when we used to like live tweet award shows.
Oh, girl.
Especially when Twitter, like the 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, like it was all snark. It was all like, who do they think they are?
Yes,
look at them. Blah, 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 blah.
Who can have the edgiest tweet?
Right.
And it gets retweeted by other people that are trying to be edgy and out edgy each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there was that, it was that turning point for both of us where we're like, hold on, we need to like reassess how we do like trending entertainment stories and how we talk about these celebrities, and how even when it comes to award shows, instead of like dragging people down, why not talk about the funny stuff that happens or things that, you know, if it was your friend that was on there, you'd be like, girl, you look great, but what was your face doing when they were announcing the winner?
And it's like kind or like good intentioned ribbing.
Right. Without tearing someone down.
Where do you think it was? Really quick side tangent. I think it might have been the turn might have happened after we got dumped from Play 98.7 in like 2012, 2013 era, and then eventually got back on Island 106. I think it was in that span of unemployment because I want to place it around the same time that we discovered Oprah's Super Soul Sunday.
Mm.
Would that maybe be accurate?
I would
Because I
say
feel like that's where my spiritual awakening first started, even though it didn't complete an arc. Maybe it's still going on,
right.
but it didn't go to like deep levels until the pandemic era. But like, I think that 2013 maybe is where it first the seed was planted.
I think that it also started like around the time of Charlie Sheen going crazy. And when he like lost his ish, and like at first it was like funny, and then it was like, oh my God, Tiger Blood, so crazy. And then I think we were like, wait a minute, this is not a well human being right
No, we
now.
recognized like after a while, we
Right.
were like,
And especially when he went on that tour of like the Tiger Blood tour. Remember, he went to cities and like
totally forgot that.
different radio people would like interview him on stage, and it was just like,
yeah, it was very cringy.
this is an unhinged man. And I think it was like, instead of making fun of it, let's actually like sit down and talk about like this real human. Like if this was your uncle who was like going into work and just saying random things or posting on Instagram, and you're like, that's not who my uncle is. But all of a sudden he starts talking crazy online, and then we're like, we need to reassess how we talk about this.
Yes.
And I feel like that was part of the turning point as well.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like that was an era of absolute craziness in the celebrity zone, because it was Charlie Sheen, it was Tiger Woods, it was Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And we started having to be like, wait a minute, this isn't just like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, this is like, what the hell is happening?
Right.
I think it was around then. And for me, I think it was really when I started watching those Oprah episodes where they would talk about spirituality and thinking differently and deeper about different things. And I was like, and I was also pregnant. So I'm sure that didn't hurt. But I was like, wait, what do we do? What are we doing?
Right.
With our jobs? Why we have this platform? Why are we taking the lazy route to just be like, Lindsay Lohan's crazy again, and be like, what's Lindsay Lohan going through?
Right. Like what's actually going?
It's more interesting.
100%. Because when you think about people and like these celebrities, you know, like they went to the award show and they're there in this big thing, and they're like, you know, probably hungry, and they're in tight fitting clothes and they're tired. I mean, think about like when you go to your company holiday party and you're like, fuck, we got to see goddamn Susan from goddamn accounting. I fucking hate that bitch. And then you got to like smile at her. And then on top of that, especially if you're there and you're nominated for an award, and so then you're nervous and you're like, I got to give a speech in front of all these people that I admire, or some people that I don't like. So I got to make sure I have something, but maybe I don't want to have something. But then if I do win, and then if you don't win and the camera's on you,
on your face,
right,
to see exactly what you look like when you're probably one of the most disappointed times in your life.
Right. And then like, especially at the Golden Globes, and they're drinking and eating. And so they're like, well, I can't drink too much until my category because I don't want to look crazy if they don't call my name. So
Sometimes
it's like when you think about that as a human being and you in that situation, I feel like it kind of changes the way that you look and comment on these people, not celebrities, but these actual human beings.
Yeah. One would hope, though.
You would think.
But that's not the case, by the way. I don't think, for a large amount of people. But as we kind of full circle back to teen girls and them getting a shitty rap for being the, like, just the blocker of all the good plans and the reckless and the annoying and whatever. Who is writing this? Because maybe we need to retool that. Anyway.
Before we head out, because it's going to be a shorter podcast.
Like, it's 19 minutes in, but that's fine.
I know.
It's a Monday.
It's fine. Got some things to talk about. I did want to talk about this thing I found in excuse me, hold on. Sorry, LaCroix.
Go for a LaCroix. I wish we had LaCroix in our refrigerator, by the way. I'm very jealous.
Sorry, we got him here in Charlotte.
I know, y'all lit.
We lit.
Charlotte.
In my research, you know, every morning I cobble together what Holly and producer Kelvin and I have done in our lives and what's trending. Well, there was a story that came out as a list of predictions from 100 years ago from 1924 on what
Yeah.
they thought would happen in 2024.
I saw this, but I did not comb through it.
So I thought we'd go down this list of some of these items because it is hilarious.
That is delightful. By the way, my grandmother, of course, now deceased, was 4 years old when this list was made. So
Oh my gosh.
she's alive.
People around her were predicting this is what would happen in 2024. All right.
Yeah.
No one would have teeth. A nationally syndicated advice columnist thought America's eating habits could drastically change our looks. Quote, will we have any teeth at all? Will there be any color on our face except paint? Will the men have any height to speak of? Or will they be all girth?
Oh, wait. So we've been dealing with that for 100 years now.
They were like, y'all gonna get fat.
They predicted the movie Wall-E. What?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're not too far off from that.
I know. It's the food. They're right, though. It's the food. Our food's trying to kill us.
Here's what they thought in 1924, what would happen in 2024. Horses would go extinct. A professor at USC predicted horses would be an endangered species because the invention of automobiles would render them useless. Quote, in another 100 years, you may find horses in zoos. I'm sure you will not find them anywhere else.
Well, I mean, okay. We still have horses, but we don't use them for transportation or we don't ride around on them to get from point A to point B.
We ride the horses for fun.
Yes, people love to have sporting good time on horses.
We save horses and we ride cowboys. Sorry, just afford me that one. I actually wrote that joke.
I laughed
earlier.
about it. Usually I wouldn't. I'd just be like,
I wrote that one down. I'm kidding.
Okay.
All right. Another prediction they made in 1924 about 2024, working from home. In a book called Wireless Possibilities, a guy basically predicted the internet. He said we'd be doing most things remotely, and it will be great if you hate cities. Quote, what a help to the man who objects to a large city. Why could he not conduct his business from his house in comfort?
Huh.
He
really?
knew.
Like someone came up with that? Wow.
Yeah, 1924. They were like, they're gonna be working from home.
Dang.
Another one, 75 years old would seem young. A British politician predicted life expectancy would be at least 100 years old, and we'd still feel fairly young at 75. I'd say that's like the Golden Bachelor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he in his 70s?
Well, I will say this. Even in my lifetime, I feel like your 70s has gone from being old to being, when someone dies in their 70s, you're like, oh, they weren't that old.
Right.
Yeah, yes, you are. I guess you'd be elderly in your 70s,
yes.
But that's not the same as it was back then. Like there are a lot of people in their 70s who are out living life. And I feel like when you do hear about a death of someone in their 70s, you're like, oh no, why didn't they make it to 80 or 90? Because so many people truly are living into their 80s and 90s.
And
I think that's valid.
Look at Cher, Jane Fonda. I mean, these are women in their late 70s.
Judi Dench.
Right? Maggie Smith. Like,
yes.
Girl.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one of what they thought from 1924, what would happen in 2024.
Okay.
World peace. Movie mogul D.W. Griffith predicted moving pictures would help end all wars because they were a universal language that could help us all understand each other. He said by 2024, movies would have played a huge part in, quote, eliminating from the face of the civilized world all armed conflicts.
What a lofty goal. Do you not know humans? Like, that is a lot to put on movies. Come on, guy.
Just makes me sad.
We're bloodthirsty creatures. Like, no.
It's just getting worse with movies and technology.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, it made it worse.
Yeah,
like
so now.
No, just
not happening.
Sorry. I mean, that was a good goal, but silliness.
Here we go.
Ever happen? No, I don't.
No.
All right.
No.
Until the aliens come down and do whatever they're going to do, it's not happening.
As long as no, it's just not possible. Because somebody always needs to be on top. Someone needs to be on bottom. And if you're still fighting for resources and there's not enough for everyone, someone's always going to be the winner.
Yeah.
And someone's always going to go to war for resources.
Yes. I saw some, because I'm gay on TikTok, but it He was a delight, though. He's like, I am not a fighter. I have these really thick glasses, so clearly I'm not talking about me. He was good. But he was like, at some point, we got to overthrow the government. Basically, that's what he was saying. Long story short. He's like, I'm not saying we should all go pick up arms right now. He's like, but the only way out of this is violence. Because there has never literally in the history of history, there has never been someone who has overthrown like the regime that we're living in right now that's not great, that's continually getting worse without violence. Not saying the peaceful side starts with violence, but like when you bring your complaints to the people who are keeping you oppressed, they're going to retaliate on you with violence, and the only thing you can do is go violent back. So he's like, so I'm not saying it's me, but I'm just saying you should be ready for violence.
I don't want to fight. Like, I just let it be known publicly. Like, if some shit went down, like, I'm hiding.
Yeah.
Because I can't fight.
I'm there for, the new earth.
Right.
When we create like a peaceful community. Like, I can grow plants.
I could be the voice of the people. I feel like I could be a good politician. And
you would be a good politician in the new earth, I feel like.
So hide me in a bunker until the new earth emerges, and then I can be a politician in the new world.
Okay, I'll be a shaman. That's probably offensive. I can't say that. No, I'm not fighting. What? That'd be silly gooseness.
Here's another prediction they made in 1924 about 2024. Mm-hmm. Constant war everywhere. The president of the American Chemical Society had a different take. He thought futuristic weapons would mean major cities would constantly be under attack. Yes, it just doesn't happen like physically, but when it comes to hacking, cyber attacks, and then all of the stuff that we went through in the 2016 election when it came to Russia and the things that they did on Facebook.
Yeah,
that's a type of war because of new technology. So absolutely.
Yeah, he was right on.
Women would be in charge and men would be raising the kids. In a letter to the New York Daily News, a guy said women will occupy all the highest positions and men will just do physical labor or stay home to, quote, wait on the babies and mind the pets.
Someone took that man out after he wrote some other dude. He's like, shut up, Joe.
They said, not on my watch.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, no, obviously.
No, we'll just go and get a little. Here's another one. A limit to the number of kids you could have. A Department of Agriculture official predicted we wouldn't have enough food to go around, so births would have to be limited in some manner by 2024. I think because of the conditions of our world, it's happening naturally. People aren't having babies.
Yeah.
There are lots of people, men and women, that I know that are straight, that are millennials or Gen Zers that are like, it's too expensive. I ain't having no kid. I can barely take care of myself right now.
Yeah.
So I think because of the conditions of the world,
it's a natural byproduct of what's happened.
Which is going to be really sucky when we get older. Because
yes, it is.
Who's going to take care of us?
Who's coming?
Here's another one. Cities would be totally rebuilt around cars. The 1920s were when cars really started taking off. In 1924, a Swedish architect wrote, in the city of 100 years from now, I see 3-deck roads, speedways through the heart of town, and skyscrapers with entrances for automobiles as high as 15 stories.
That's not wrong.
No, that is 100% correct. And the more research I've done about highway systems and what they've done to Black communities that were in the heart of the city a lot of times, in Atlanta, here in Charlotte, probably in Tampa and St. Pete, they just bulldoze straight through those Black cities to create the highway system and split them right down the middle.
Yes, I saw, what was it, Axios Charlotte or something, just had a whole thing about the Black community that was just basically razed to the ground. And so that has created so many generational problems of, you had this, like the early roots of this Black community, big community, where, they were building wealth and they were doing all these things. And then that happened, and they still, so many people in the Black community, especially in Charlotte, could never recover from that.
So I live in that area. So when we first moved here in 2022, The street I live on is called Stonewall Avenue, off of Stonewall, the homeboy from the Civil
General.
War, the
Yeah.
general. And so they changed it back to Brooklyn Village Avenue because it was called Brooklyn Village, and it was historically Black neighborhood where they had this generational wealth that was being built with these businesses and houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the government in the 60s and 70s said, bye-bye, built the highway and went straight through it and totally decimated all of that generational wealth
Yep.
that wasn't able to accumulate. And you can find those stories in so many different cities. It's super fascinating and very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the last one. Prediction from 1924 about 2024. Everyone would be flying to work. A real estate mogul in New York said the airplanes will... A real estate mogul in New York said the airplane was still in its infancy, but eventually we'd all be using them. Quote, it will be the everyday occurrence for the businessman to fly from home to office and back home again. I'll say a partial, because you don't fly to work,
No.
but you also can, it's not a hassle to travel for work. Like producer Kelvin's fiance, Oscar, travels every week for work. He
Right.
gets on an airplane, goes to a different city, and comes back. Where back then, that was still in infancy, so you couldn't do that.
Right. It was, whoever wrote that just overshot a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, airplanes definitely changed things for sure.
Holly, what's your prediction for 10 years from now, or 100 years from now? So in 2124.
Oh dear God.
Can you imagine?
No, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, honestly.
2124.
The machines will have taken over. I don't know. We'll be living in like the Matrix, like Neo. How? I think by then we will have, like, America will not be the same. Like, America will look different. We may not even be a capitalist society anymore. There will be some war or cataclysmic event or something. And so what we know today as the United States of America will not exist the way it does today. I don't know how, though. Like, I don't know how it's going to look. My hope would be that it would be a peaceful, sort of egalitarian society. Actually, if you've got elected representatives that are meant to represent the people, they actually do. You don't have such things as like lobbyists or all that. But I think that'll happen in the next 100 years.
I think in 100 years, there will be no majority race. I feel like as we continue, and especially with Gen Z and what is like your daughter's generation called? Gen Alpha. And then think about the generation after them.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's going to be one majority race. I don't think it'll be like Latinos or blacks or white people. It'll just be like, I don't even know if that'll even be an equation that you'll put in when you are, applying for stuff, or they're doing census data. That won't be in the equation.
I really hope not, because all it does is serve to divide us.
Right.
So
I think we'll still celebrate like your cultural backgrounds, because we'll be able to like know, like if, let's say Maya married an Asian person and they had children, and so they had children. And so then in 100 years, like, they will still know, because the technology will be so great, that we descended from Asia and Italy.
Right.
But that won't be like,
it'll just be like a little, oh, that's cute.
Right. This is my background. That's about it.
Right. That's not my identity.
Right.
That's just where my ancestors came from.
So I'm curious, what do you predict for 100 years from now? You can leave it if you're watching this in the comments, or if you listen to this later, text hits and what you think will happen in the next 100 years, and send that to 96893. And if we get any, I'd love to share some on Wednesday's podcast if we get any. Holly, we up out of this bitch.
Bye.
What's your social media for people to watch you and spy on you with?
Radio Holly.
I want to see it.
Yikes.
I want to see it. Mine is at Miguel Fuller on Instagram, TikTok, Be Real. And make sure to check out the Miguel and Holly and the Hits 961 Instagram as well.
Yes, please.
All right, we'll see y'all on Wednesday. Bye.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Oh, how did we not say, Holly?
What?
Aliens.
Oh God, aliens.
We'll
Why
have
are we talking
aliens.
about aliens.